fans are making a lot of noise at AT&T Stadium.
Anything that moves between these lines, got to get dealt with.
They hand it to Pollard. He comes running out the right side. Deep to the post to Lamb. At the 5 to the goal line.
Dallas Cowboys Game Night is presented by AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. It's Miller time. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
The Dallas Cowboys head to the Wild West and come out with a 22-10 win over the reigning Super Bowl champions, the Los Angeles Rams, in Week 5 of the NFL season. It's been a wild win streak for the Cowboys and unpredictable at times, but they have won 4 straight to improve to 4-1. Welcome into Cowboys Game Night from the Star in Frisco with the 6-time Pro Bowler and 3-time Super Bowl champion Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Youmans. And what else can you say about this Cowboys defense, Nate? Because they, again, hold their opponent to just 1 offensive touchdown. They hold the Rams, who won the Super Bowl last year, to just 10 points. It's been an incredible showing from the defense so far.
Yeah, they almost outscored the Rams by getting that strip sack, and DeMarcus Lawrence scoring. So they've done a great job, man. They've been everything. And even our head coaches told us, hey, they just started stirs to drink, and they're doing a hell of a job.
Yeah, no doubt. They've done a fantastic job.
Wow.
But they have been the thermostat that has set the tone for the Cowboys team, and it has set the tone early as well as we take a look at some of these highlights. And the fireworks started early. It was the first third down of the ball game for the Rams. Dorrance Armstrong comes right up the middle. He gets home for the strip sack, recovered by DeMarcus Lawrence, who takes it all the way to the house.
As you said right there, he came right up the middle, man. Nice move right there. Boom. He hits the quarterback. He fumbles. D-Law picks it up and takes it to the house.
First defensive touchdown of the year for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they did miss the PAT thanks to a bobbled snap, but Dorrance Armstrong wasn't finished yet. On the next drive, he breaks through the block the punt. This led to a field goal, and Dallas took a 9-0 lead. On to the second. L.A. had a field goal mixed in between there, but they get the ball back after a defensive stop. Cooper Kupp breaks loose from Trayvon Diggs, and he goes for 75 yards.
Right there, they was in man coverage. They shouldn't have been in there. They had a bunch of crossing routes. They had Higbee going deep. They had Cooper up coming across the middle right here with the clear out. He caught it. They misjudged his speed, and he's faster than he looked.
The Triple Crown winner from last year strikes to give L.A. a 10-9 lead. Dallas would answer, though, with a breakaway of their own. Tony Pollard, with a couple tackles, puts him in the dust, 57 yards for his second rushing touchdown of the year.
You know what I want to say, Connor McGovern, nice cutoff block on the backside. As you see right there, that allowed him to have a big hole. And, Tony did what Tony does best when he gets it over. He just exploded.
It was his longest play from scrimmage this season. It put Dallas up at the halftime break 16-10. They would add a field goal in that third quarter to make it a 9-point lead heading into the fourth. But Maher also had one at the beginning of the fourth to make it a 22-10 lead for Dallas. Then later in that fourth quarter, the Rams trying to find a rhythm on offense, but they never did because Osa Odigizua gets in there for a big-time sack on second down. It brings up 3rd and 12. On the next play, Matthew Stafford, under pressure, throws it up for grabs, and Malik Hooker makes the pick inside the 5-yard line. He stays down there. So Dallas with the football. They had a 3-and-out, gave it back to the Rams. One final chance for Matthew Stafford. That chance taken out of his hands by Micah Parsons, his second sack of the ball game. This one a strip sack recovered by the defense, his 6th of the year, and this one put the game on ice.
Oh, yes, it's straight speed. He just blew by this guy. He tried to hold him, but he couldn't keep him back.
No doubt about it. 22-10, 5 total sacks for the Cowboys defense, 20 in total for the season as they come out on top by 12 on the road at SoFi Stadium. And Nate, if we would have talked about this after the Week 1 win, that the Cowboys would have won 4 straight and had wins against the reigning AFC champions and the reigning Super Bowl champions, I think everyone in Cowboys Nation would have taken that sort of win streak. Well, they have that, and they've got a chance going into next week to go to first place in the NFC East. But when we come back, we hear from all sorts of Cowboys following the reaction, starting with Dorrance Armstrong.
Go Cowboys!
This segment is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. If you have a lucky quarter, it could pay off big when you play the new Cowboys scratch ticket game from the Texas Lottery.
Dorrance Armstrong was really the courtesy of the first 9 points of the ball game for the Cowboys with a strip sack, recovered for a touchdown, and then a blocked punt that led to a field goal. But he's continued to impress here in this season for the Cowboys, in a year where he's really betting on himself moving forward without Randy Gregory in the fold. Here's what the defensive end had to say following the win.
I just always stay in a student of the game.
What does it say as far as Dan Quinn being able to come in? This is only his second year with the team, and being able to flip the offense from arguably worst in the league to best in the league in only 2 seasons?
He's a hell of a coach. He holds us to high standards and expectations, and we accept it.
Dorrance, what can you say about the way this defense set the tone? You had it, the strip sack, the block punt. Just what does that say about this defense? And Zeke just gave the kudos to you guys too after this one.
Appreciate that from him, but no, that's what we hold our head on. That's how we our mindset. Every game, every week we practice, we start over on Wednesday, and we focus on that, and that's what we want to do: start fast and control the tempo.
Do you guys believe you have the best defense in the league right now?
Absolutely.
How many block punts for you in your career?
2.
When was the other one?
Last year against Atlanta.
What's the key for that for you? Coming from the middle like that.
Just details and understanding spacing.
What was the point of emphasis for you for that line, especially going up against Stafford and that O-line? They've been rotating through 9 different guys. They got a banged-up O-line. What was your approach going into this?
Just to try to be as dominant as I can. Always make plays, and just know that we were the better D-line tonight.
They showed that today against the Rams, a team that came in with similar problems as the Cowboys, an offense that still couldn't really get off the ground, and then a defense that was playing well. But the defense showed today that not only are they good, they're elite in the NFL.
Oh, they are, man. And when you got depth like we have with Dorrance Armstrong, who's a special team player and had a block earlier during the year and doing what he's doing now, he's got several sacks. This kid is playing lights out.
Yeah, he was really great off the edge. He's been playing special teams. Is this something that you expected out of him in a year like this?
Oh, yeah, man. Coming out of Kansas, either Kansas State, one of those Kansas. You expect this kid to do what he do. He came out as a 2-gapper, but he's a better player as a penetrator, and Dan Quinn knows just how to use him.
Yeah, Armstrong's Jayhawks fell to the TCU Horned Frogs this week. But don't worry, Armstrong picked up Jayhawk Nation and put him on their shoulders this week with a fantastic game as he continues to grow in his roles with the Dallas Cowboys. When we come back, we hear from Tony Pollard. Speaking of growing in roles, he continues to impress on that Cowboys offense.
This segment was brought to you by the Texas Lottery. If you have a lucky quarter, it could pay off big when you play the new Cowboys scratch ticket game from the Texas Lottery.
$163 yards on the ground for the Dallas Cowboys. They did so with Ezekiel Elliott, 22 carries for 78 yards. But Tony Pollard was the leading rusher, where he had over 80 yards, including 57 on his touchdown run, the only offensive score of the day for the Cowboys. Let's hear from Tony Pollard at SoFi Stadium after the win.
How tough was it this week? I know you were kind of feeling a little bit sick. Did it help? Did it hurt you at all fatigue-wise?
Kind of had me a little more fatigued than normal, a little quicker getting fatigued out there, but, we did a good job, all week, just working with me, making sure I was good, getting better, and had a good game out here.
Can you talk me through the big run, what you saw and how it played out?
O-line pretty much, they did their job. They opened up a big lane from me. I exploded through it, broke a couple arm tackles. I had receivers downfield blocking with me, and we made it in the end zone.
Did you feel it at the end? Did you think the guy was going to go for the football as opposed to trying to tackle you? Did you feel that too?
I felt somebody on my legs, but I was just praying that I made it to the end zone first.
What does it say for this offensive line? You got some young guys on the left, especially Tyler Smith. They're going against a defensive line led by Aaron Donald. To be able to tandem with you and Ezekiel Elliott, to be able to just grind and break the home run and grind, what does that mean for this Cowboys?
It just shows, the tenacity that those guys have up front. That's how they play day in, day out. Practice, game days, all of that. Just being physical, being a dominant force for us, and, week in, week out is paying off.
There was a high level of physicality in that game today. Is it more gratifying winning like that, kind of old-fashioned, like Get down in the dirt?
I say any way we can get a W is good with us. Yep.
I'll take that.
Tony Pollard helping the Cowboys get to 163 yards on the ground. And you look at the passing yards there wasn't a whole lot for Cooper Rush to throw the football, but the ground game was what was stuck with all the way through. They challenged Aaron Donald in that front seven for the Rams throughout this ball game, and they were able to be successful in doing so.
Yeah, I mean, this is where Zeke took over. You know, he kept hammering it. Zeke is our toughness guy. Tony is our explosive guy, as you saw with the great run that he had there. But as long as you're trying to be tough, trying to be physical up in there, and you can soften up, and then Tony Pollard comes with that change of pace. And, boy, he did a hell of a job today.
It's so tough for defenses to really take that change up in the fastball and really take it in stride. But having those two together is exactly what the Cowboys offense has wanted. Can they keep that going down the stretch the rest of this season?
I think they can. I mean, Coach Kellen Moore has made a concerted effort to kind of just change what he likes to do. He likes to throw it all his heart, but he knows that our defense is the catalyst of this team. And as long as he can keep that mixture going, everything should be okay.
He's a former quarterback. He likes to put it up in the air a little bit, but even today, only 16 pass attempts for Cooper Rush and 102 yards. Now, a big reason for that was the pass rush of L.A. got after Cooper Rush on a couple of occasions, including that aforementioned Aaron Donald. When we come back, we hear from rookie Tyler Smith and what he learned going up against one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL, with more Cowboys game night after this. This rookie season has been a learning experience for Tyler Smith. He started off in camp at left guard and looked like he was fighting for a starting position there. Instead, with the injury to Tyron Smith, he's been bumped out and playing left tackle. Today, he had a tough matchup against Aaron Donald in that Rams defensive front. Let's see what he learned and also how he can get better heading into Week 6 against Philadelphia.
Pro Bowl Hall of Famer. You're going to get another Hall of Fame dude. Hearing it from his mouth, like, you know, it carries weight because he sees exactly what I'm doing wrong. He's taking that same kick set over 10,000 times. Like, he's like, regardless of who in front of you, like, kick, stay square and kick. Like, that's all he told me. It wasn't anything complex. It wasn't anything like, you know, it wasn't a paragraph long. He was like, stay square and kick, get to your spot. So that's kind of what I took from that. But it was invaluable.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, Mike.
All you've heard is Aaron Donald for forever, and then you get to face him. Just can you walk us through that experience?
I mean, he's a great player. Like, I can't take it from him. It's one of the best, if not the greatest, defensive player to ever play. And like it was an education for sure. Like, you know, going against somebody like that. Obviously, you know, he's a great competitor. You know, I didn't do all the things I wanted to do, but I definitely learned from everything. And like, he's just a great player. I can't say it enough. He's a great player.
I know it just happened, but what do you hope to learn from that experience?
I mean, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of poise things that you can learn from. Like, you got to keep your poise in the NFL. Like, you know, not every snap is going to go your way. You know, sometimes, like, you know, you may fail once or twice, but you got to keep your poise throughout the game. You got to understand that, you know, that next snap is all that matters. You got to go to the sideline, get the necessary adjustments. I have a short-term memory, honestly. That's one thing I definitely honed in on today.
Do you feel like you showed some resilience, though, especially as the game wore on?
I mean, definitely. You know, like, you know, I'm not surprised. I'm an O-lineman. Like, you know, I understand. Like, I know who that is across from me. Like, you know, I understand what type of dude that is. And you just got to be resilient. Like, you know, in that snap that you fail, like, you can't change the game anymore on that snap. You gotta look to that next snap, and you gotta hone in on the technique. You don't fall to the level of your training every time. That's something I feel like I had to do today for sure. It's just, okay. I mean, I definitely, you know, I saw myself get beaten. Like, at that point, you know, I'm still looking at where the ball is. Like, you know, because I saw the ball pop out. I see it hit the ground. I'm just knowing, you know, I got to get this ball back. You know, what happened, you know, but I can at least get the ball. Like, you know, you got to play to the whistle. I didn't hear a whistle, so I just, you know, I kept on playing for sure. I mean, it's just playing football for sure. Like, you know, I understand, like, you know, it's a sport where, you know, you win some, you lose some, but you play through the whistle. Like, you know, you give your best effort every play. And, you know, it can be tough when you lose on a rep and you see yourself lose and, like, things don't happen the way you want to. But just continuing the ball is going to be the biggest thing. You know, I've been playing football a long time, and that's definitely one thing, you know, that I always honed in on, is just having that continuous motor and always giving that effort.
How do you think it's going to play off? I mean, what do you see them playing off each other in terms of just wearing down their defense?
Tony and Zeke. I mean, those are explosive backs. Like, at the end of the day, you know, their change of direction, their speed, like, you know, their physicality, that's something that's going to wear down every defense. You know, the more we pound the rock, the more tired the other team gets. You know, we get a consistent 3 to 4 every play. You know, I don't think there's a team in the NFL that can stop you if you're doing that every play. That's the first down every 3 plays. But just having them, like, you know, be that 1-2 punch, like Tony with that blinded speed, like his ability to see, like, you know, Zeke with the same thing, you know, his physicality. That's another thing, like, you know, I don't think people, you know, appreciate enough. Like, Zeke is an extremely physical back, like Zeke and Tony, but Zeke he'll hit people, like, and that exhausts, that wears down the defense, so that's big for us.
So you hear it there from Tyler Smith, some of the lessons that he learned going up against the future Hall of Famer in Aaron Donald. I'm here with one of the best to ever do it for the Cowboys side of things on the offensive line, Nate Newton. And Nate, how can Tyler Smith continue to get better? Because he had himself a test today. He won some battles, but he certainly lost some battles against Donald.
All he got to do is understand when technique is supposed to be used. If he's using his technique and punching instead of grabbing sometimes, he wants the power. Coming from Tulsa, he dominated everybody. He picked them up out of their shoes. Well, you ain't picking up this Hall of Famer up out of his shoes. And when you held him that time, all of a sudden now he said, okay, I can't man up with you, but I can speed you. And that's what he did. He speeded on a young man for 2 sacks and went up for a strip. All you got to do, my young man, is settle down, understand his speed, punch, and run him around. He'll be all right. This kid understands play after play, and he got a short memory, so he'll be okay.
Him, along with the entire offensive line, were able to block for the run, but where can they get better in terms of the pass sets moving forward to protect either Cooper Rush or Dak Prescott moving forward?
Just believe in your work that you put in with Coach Philman during the week. Believe that when these other veterans are trying to say, like Peterson, you know, just shuffle, punch. Believe in that and continue to work. It's just going to be reps with this kid, and he'll be okay.
They've got some guys to learn from, which is the good thing on that offensive line. Hopefully they continue to get healthier and continue to play better moving forward. When we come back, we wrap this up and tie a bow on the 22-10 win over Los Angeles.
Dallas Cowboys Game Night was presented by AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Reliant, an NRG company. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
22-10, the Cowboys take down the reigning Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams on the road at SoFi Stadium. It only took 102 yards through the air from Cooper Rush. However, on the ground, the Cowboys rushing for 163 yards in the win. Now 4 straight, improving to 4-1. Back here with Nate Newton to wrap things up on Cowboys Game Night. Glad you've been with us. I'm Kyle Youmans. This is setting up a massive matchup next week with the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, the only undefeated team left in the NFL. What are you looking for this week?
Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham. These are some beasts on defense, and they're going to try to stop our run game, and we have to be persistent on that. So Kellum put together a good one for us.
There are 4 teams in the NFC that have either 1 loss or less at this point in the season. 3 of them are in the NFC East. The Cowboys, the Giants, and the Eagles. The only other team in the NFC is the Minnesota Vikings. So things getting really interesting here. Where do you feel like the Cowboys rank in terms of teams that are legitimate contenders at this point?
I think Philadelphia a little bit ahead of us. Okay. I want to say Minnesota's tied with us in A. So we tied for second, I think.
Okay, but if you get a win this week, does that change?
Oh, yeah. We'll be the beast in the East, and we rising up, man. Yeah, you know me. I'm a Cowboy homie now.
You're exactly right. Now, if they get a win, they will have the tiebreaker over all 3 teams, and then it'll be 9 straight wins against the division if they go on the road. But like I said, Sunday Night Football against an undefeated Eagles team, that is far from a gimme. It's going to take a really good week of preparation here from the Star in Frisco to get the job done. But we'll be here, win or lose, to break it down for you on Cowboys Game Night next week. For Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Youmans, and our entire Dallas Cowboys crew saying so long. The Cowboys win it 22-10.